Before I get started, I do want to give a big thank you for the partnership. It's been an amazing opportunity to be a thought partner with one another, and a big piece to that partnership is the support that we have in the Instructional Technology Initiative, not only with Dr. Gibson, but the support team we have in the Instructional Technology Initiative. And I'd like to give a huge thank you to Francisco Canche. I know he's out in the back. He's always working tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that our partnerships are well thought out and with purpose. So thank you again, Francisco. I wanted to share with you today, I know we're going to hear a lot from what the schools are doing. One area that was added to the Instructional Technology Initiative portfolio, other duties as assigned, last school year was the area of computer science. And with our superintendent, Ms. King, she was a great visionary. She is a great visionary and was very intent on expanding computer science for all of our students in Los Angeles. So I'd like to share with you a little bit about that process and how we are expanding, and I hope there's some great takeaways from you today, and I'll be in the background later if you have any questions. So I do want to make sure we give enough time to the schools to share their promising practices on what's happening at their school sites. One thing I do want to share with you, I do have a back channel at today's meet, because I know not everyone might have the opportunity to ask questions. Here's your opportunity to have a voice. This is a great strategy that we get a lot of great feedback from our participants. They like having that voice. Sometimes they're not ready to say their questions out loud, but there's an opportunity for voice in the background. And Francisco's supporting the monitoring of that back channel. Okay. So before we get started, I wanted for you to think about your first experience with technology in your educational experience. So take a minute, think about your first experience you had with technology in your educational experience, and share with your elbow partner. And then I'll share with you what my first experience was.
The little blue calculators. Remember the Texas Instruments? Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. That was my first experience. Like, whoa, I can program this thing to do the times table. I don't think all 3 times 3, 3 times 4. That was my first experience.
When I was doing my undergrad work, I had a
great. Don't forget to use that back channel.
It was the word processing department. So we had typewriters. They were Selectrics, but they were programmable. They had these almost like a floppy disk, but it wasn't. It was a long thing.
Right.
And so you could type, for example, I don't know.
I'll never forget the day my babysitter
an invitation to some events and mail merging and doing all of those things
that was yours, huh?
And then we were able to save all the good stuff so that we could use it again. And also on those.
All right, great. I hope you've had the opportunity to share with your elbow partner.
They were little squares, yeah.
We're going to whip it really quick around the room. I can hear lots of great first experiences and maybe not so great first experiences. So we're going to toss it out. We're going to have about 3 people share, and then we also have the back channel. So if you don't have that opportunity to share, you can share with the back channel. Everyone's watching. All right. Do we have a brave soul out in the audience? Your first experience.
I don't want to share mine because it was profound for me how I started getting into programming. You remember Logo? The turtle, the little triangle turtle? And then you would give it commands, just like for 2nd or 3rd graders on the Commodore 64. Montezuma was your man. Yeah. So it was a triangle, and you had to code it as a kid. You would say pen up or pen down, then it would start drawing, and then you would give it little commands to try to draw pictures. So it was like a programming interface on the old school Commodore. The Logo program, like a triangle that you program to draw pictures as a little kid. That was a formative experience for me. Thanks.
Great, thank you. The Commodore 64. Any others out there?
Just 3 letters. DOS.
Yes.
Don't need to say it anymore. For those of you who are young, I'm sorry, but for us older, we know what DOS is. : //
Thank you. We have some connections.
my partner and I, we were both discussing that our first interaction with technology was through after-school programs, and specifically with a game called the Oregon Trail. Anybody? Oh, yeah.
Great, we have one more. Anyone else? Does that resonate with, want to share with us as well? Okay. All right. Let's give a big hand to everyone who's shared. Also, I can see in the back channel as well, those who are sharing. Well, I'll share with you, when I was in the 4th grade, oops, I'm sorry. There it is. When I was in the 4th grade, that was my first experience. We had the Radio Shack TRS-80 in the back of the room, and teacher said, just go over there, print. How many of you remember these, played on these, right? So this was my first experience, and that I was able to create a heart, print, quotation marks, and hit run, and it just did a loop. I didn't know what I was doing, why I was doing it. It was just fun. And that's what we're seeing a lot in our classrooms with our students, that, why? Like, I didn't know why I was doing it. I didn't know I was even doing computer science. I didn't even know I was a programmer at, in 4th grade. So why is this important? And back in December, now with our strategic plan for LA Unified, Ms. King was very forthright with us and said, we need to make sure we set some goals. We need to hit some targets around computer science. So we went back to the table, we pulled some of our teachers who were already in the field and got some feedback around what would our goals look like for computer science in LA Unified. And we decided together, it was a collective group that came together to start thinking about what does computer science for all look like in LAUSD. So by 2025, we set some goals around every student having access to computer science. And again, any brave souls out there would like to share with what it was one of our first goals that we have? Anyone want to read the first one for us? Oh. Read it out loud. Anyone want to read it for us? All right, thank you.
Receive 20 hours of computer science instruction each year in grades P through 5.
Yes, so starting with our little ones, right? Starting as early as preschool. Yes, they can do it. All right, who would like to read our second goal for computer science by 2025? Francisco.
Completes at least one rigorous and relevant computer science course in grades 6th grade.
So what might that look like? I know several of your schools are already offering computer science. And the last one. Thank you.
Has access to computer science pathways in grades 9 through 12.
Okay. So how are we going to do all of this by 2025? Again, it starts with creating your plan, creating those pathways, creating those opportunities for our teachers. Look at this. Not used to this. There we go. We want our computer science, it invites our learners to be those innovators, those problem solvers. And again, this dovetails very nicely with the ISTE standards for students and for educators. We want our students and also our teachers and our communities, we know we heard Mr. South speak about earlier, engaging our communities in understanding the how and why of computing. The system, some of the networks, data analysis. We have several courses in Introduction to Data Sciences that I'll be sharing with you later. Also algorithms and programming and how this all impacts computing. All right. So we know in our district, I mentioned that we have our superintendent strategic plan to expand computer science course offerings district-wide. And our superintendent has given us, I call this the seed money, the money to launch us into this computer science initiative. We have been given $2.2 million. This is our seed money because we know we have a big area to cover. We're going to be offering professional learning opportunities for teachers in preschool to senior high school, but not only the professional learning, but the tools that go along with it. How often have you gone to a professional development learning session and you're like, this is great, this is wonderful. I need the tools to do this. Or our teachers go back and they spend their own money. So we've been very strategic in canvassing our district and what type of needs and wants are already existing within the district. And in a couple of minutes, I'll share with you those learning opportunities it's an invitation for you all to attend. What else have we been doing that connects closely to computer science is the adoption of the ISTE standards for students. I know we talked a lot about that this morning and with Mr. South. We have already had 3 computer science education weeks. We've launched the first one 3 years ago with Fauché, our second one at Madison. Thank you very much, Madison, for hosting, and this year at Bancroft Middle School. And I don't have to tell you this. You heard from Mr. South earlier, all of our jobs, our employment are really already we're seeing in the field of computing. And I have lots of this data, so if you already would love this, you can have all this information. That way you can go back and share with your teachers and with your communities when they start asking, well, why do we have to do this? What's this all about? Okay. But the bigger question is the equity piece. I'd like for you to turn to your partner, your table, and really ask, what do you think equity means as it relates to the field of computer science education? So take a moment, and again, our back channel is open. Our back channel is open. What do you think equity means as it relates to the field of computer science education?
Go for it, Ms. Deborah.
The doors open for everybody, and not only open, children are forced to walk through. And I mean,
It's time to learn how to code and do all that. I see those are the careers of the future.
somebody was telling a story earlier today about being female in the class and just all white males and short.
Yeah, which students are we tapping? I've heard so many
I agree. For me, it's different ways in which more affluent students use technology versus our community. So there's a library.
When I hear that,
in
I
the
think we've got a lot of work
community,
to
there's a
do.
library in Long Beach where I live, and I know that the way people go to the library in Long Beach, where look at Long Beach State, it's very different than the way they go.
Okay.
So just because the door is open.
So I'd like for you
If you have somebody who doesn't get them in, it's not going
to hold on to that
the value
thought
of going in there.
So what you're saying?
around what does equity look like in computer science education. And you can add your thoughts to the back channel, and everyone else can have that opportunity to chime in. The next piece I want you, as you're thinking about that, we have a 4-minute video that we hear student voice and what equity means to them around the area of computer science. So I'd like for you to put this on for you. And again, we have this available to share.
This is a computer science classroom. Notice what this classroom looks like and who is in it. There are far more males than females, and there are few Black or Hispanic students. This is a typical tech company. We see the lack of diversity that starts in the classroom translates here to a lack of diversity in the modern workforce.
I didn't really have a computer class.
No, my school doesn't offer computer science. Because I don't even have a computer at my house, and like all these other people are like, oh, this is so easy, and they just want to get it done and not really help other people, while I'm like yelling out to them like, hey, I don't know how this thing works, so it's more difficult.
The teacher should give the kids more help on the people that don't have computers at home than the people that do have computers at home.
Nobody like encouraged me to do a program with apps and stuff like that.
For girls, it's more like, oh, you're encouraged to do modeling or become a doctor.
Do I know anybody that works with computers? No, not really, no.
I don't know any adults that works with computer.
Well, I've told my mom about like the class, but like she really doesn't know that much because she really didn't go to college and like high school. She mostly only went to 6th grade and didn't go to school after that.
When you grow up, do you think you're gonna work with technology in your career?
not the field that I'm looking for.
I don't feel like I'm a technology person.
I felt like I wouldn't know anything, and I just felt like I would be left out because I felt like I was the only one that wouldn't know anything.
They just classify you, and I don't know, I don't like being the norm.
It's important to distinguish between equality and equity. Equality means everyone gets the same thing. Equity means each student gets what he or she needs to succeed.
There are a lot of factors that go into equity, more than just gender and race. When you have a group of students in front of you, you don't necessarily know who has what experience or who is combating what particular challenge in their life. You have no idea.
In my classroom, we do a lot of group work, and what I see in those groups is students are able to come up with solutions that are diverse, just like them.
I remind the kids that we are here to get an education, and I understand, life can get rough, but this is your safe space, and this is your time to be a kid and, to learn and just have some fun.
If you have two people, one person who doesn't know as much as one person, and you give them both the same amount of learning, that's not really fair. You have to teach one person more than the other because they may not know as much, so they can reach the same level. So fairness is not always fair because sometimes people need more and sometimes people need less.
And sometimes the special needs student who you wouldn't even necessarily think it would be appropriate for him or her to be in your class, that's the student that has the most patience and the most perseverance and can really make a team stick together and say, come on guys, we have this, let's look at this again. That's the student that will enable all of the rest of them to be successful.
It actually would be better for women and men to be working kind of together on the computers, so they can get more done with Power of Two.
It's about to get real.
So what are we going to do about this equity gap that we have? And here in LA Unified, I'm going to give you a little snapshot here. Sorry, I'm not pointing to the right area. This is what equity looks like right now. As you can see on the top, we have our American Indian and Alaskan only 34%, and these are our various subgroups participating in a computer science course. Our Hispanic Latino, 41%, African American 50%, and so on. And our largest group that are participating in a computer science course are our Asian students. So think about that. I'm going to challenge you. I know earlier we had a challenge from one of our board members. So I'm going to challenge you. How are you going to help provide equity in the area of computer science? We also see this as well with our girls versus boys participating in our computer science courses here in LA Unified. Sorry. Right now we have various course offerings for computer science courses in high school. 62.4% at least are offering a computer science course. Our middle school, and this is where we ask you, I see you as our champions and to lead these efforts to continue this expansion of computer science. We only have in middle schools offering at least one computer science course that includes programming, 12.6%, and 2.12% of our middle school students are enrolled in a computer science course that includes programming. So next year when we come back to this session, we're going to see the numbers increase. Right? Yes. And credentialing continues to be that big question in the room. How do we get past this credentialing? Well, I want to tell you, in the background, we're working on some solutions for credentialing, so I hope that in a year when we come back, I'll have all those solutions worked out for you. We're working closely with our partners at the state level as well as at UCLA to solve our issue about credentialing. Why isn't this working well? All right. And how are we going to do this? Earlier, Dr. Gibson shared with you our various supports around professional learning. Sorry. In computer science, we offer, I'm going to take you straight to the next slide because I know we have lots of, and here's our catalog. I'm running out of time. I know here's our catalog. Earlier, Joseph talked about Scratch. You want to be a Scratcher? We have a class for you. And most importantly, we offer the tools that go alongside that. We offer the professional learning, and we will provide the tools for the teachers for you. And this, you can find all of this information on the ITI website. I'm so sorry I'm going so fast through this. Again, the ISTE standards for students. During lunchtime, I talked a little bit about how we've reset our professional learning opportunities. We're leveraging the Google Apps for Education suite when we teach these concepts, as these are more about skills and dispositions. If you haven't had the opportunity yet to delve into the ISTE standards for students, I highly recommend that you do so. They've just been the game changer. I call these the game changer. For so many years, we've been trying to do different things and do the same thing, but we expect different outcomes. I really believe this is going to really change the game. And we also launched our computer science website for LA Unified, so I encourage you to visit. Questions, comments, please drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you and how we can improve these efforts. I know I've gone pretty fast, but like I said, I really want to make sure that we give time to the other panelists here. I'll be sticking around if you have any questions. My email is up on the board there. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And I know we have neighboring school districts also. I'd love to be thought partners with you and find out more about your computer science efforts and how we can, merge our efforts together, especially around credentialing. I'm going to need some help with that. So thank you so much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share a little bit about what LA Unified is doing in the area of computer science. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mendoza. There's a lot going on, a lot of resources that are being offered by the district, your team, the folks that you're bringing in, collaborating, thought partners. So it's a very exciting time. And I want to commend you on the work that you're doing. Yeah. And what we wanted to do now is to say, well, now there's what we see as a great alignment between what's happening at the district level and the opportunity that we have to provide some additional support, not to the over 1,000 or so schools that you have. Our agreement is to really focus in on these 15, get them to excellence, provide as much support. So I wanted to hear from the principals to say, okay, how are we taking the resources from the district, leveraging the resources from school to home, and taking that and really do what we want to do originally, which is create a great learning environment, realizing our vision, our goals, and all those things. So I believe Christopher Columbus will be the first school. So
okay.
Deborah, take it away.
Thank you. My data coordinator is going to start. This is Mr. Helm.
Hey, Mr. Helm.
Thank you. I got to get the blood flowing. I got to move the blood up so I can stay focused here. Okay, clicker. Rich Helm, data coordinator. Uh-oh. Geez, I don't know what this is. It looks like a vision. I mean, it has direction. It looks like there's a course of action. I don't know. No one talked to me. No one shared with me this vision. I have no idea what it is. Well, right? That can happen. So what happens is next is that gets linked to the website. It gets laminated, gets put in the classrooms, and then it just kind of fades away. And with that, right, it kind of loses, I mean, we put a lot of energy in it, right, in our vision, and then the heartbeat kind of slows down. It slows down, and it kind of disappears. That's not what we want to happen when we did our vision. So, that looks familiar. I know it's wordy. I'm going to summarize. Deborah has all the pictures.
I get the easy part.
Give her the fun. So, CCMS, Instructional Technology Vision. Well, the first paragraph tells you, as most visions do, right? One-to-one. We're not there yet. We're getting there, right, Sophia?
Yes. On your
Right, Francisco? Okay. I think we'll be there closely, and that's a good thing. But it's an instructional vision, and that's really what it's all about. So I'm going to digress a little bit. So as our politicians kind of pound the pavement, and you always hear on TV, it's the economy, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. So I say that to myself. It's the instruction, but I won't say stupid. But it's the instruction in the vision. That's important. And we talked about that last night. Technology's the tools, right? Using the devices are the tools, but it's the instruction that makes it happen. So when we put this vision together last year and shared and talked with everyone, and they participated, but what was good is we had started this vision before we formalized it. So they were kind of, hey, this isn't scary. We got this thing going. We started it. So the buy-in was there with everyone, right? So that was a good start. But the instructional piece of this is, as you can see, and I'm not going to read everything, I'm just going to summarize it for you. So if we can create a student-centered learning environment, as we all are, that facilitates personalized instruction. That's our goal at CCMS. I'm not going to speak for every other school, right? So when I talk personalized for us, and we've started this, is let's let our kids know where they stand. Where are they? Let's screen them. Let's get a benchmark. And then let's do that throughout the year and show progression. I mean, that gets our students engaged. They're like, yeah. And we've got stories about that. I'll let Deborah share that. So, yeah, that's a good thing. And then personalized learning is about giving our students options on how they want to learn. Reading it, seeing it, hearing it, and then giving them the opportunity to hear it and read it and see it again as many times as they want. I mean, that individualizes it, right? And then giving them a chance with the tools to show how they've mastered the content. I mean, that's really what that's about. Show us that you've mastered it and use these digital platforms to do that, okay? And I like what Joe said at lunch. You know, what do our students bring to the table? What interests them? Because that's really powerful. Because once you find that out as a teacher, what motivates them, and they use that, it just gets them going. And what it does is it empowers them, and then they start owning it, and then they become learner agents. And that's what we want. Right, Francisco? Yes. And so that's part of our vision, is getting our kids to become learner agents. And that propels them, okay? Now you're going to notice here, oops, okay, I'm good. What you're going to notice here is that in our vision, it's all the stakeholders, the students and the teachers. So this is a tough part because teachers, this is a transformation, right? For them, it's a big shift. We know that. It's for all of us, really. So how do we transition? And we've talked about it through PDs, not one PD. Someone said one PD, I don't know. But it's several, and we've started that process. Not only how to work with technology and build your skill level up. We have some teachers there. Some are fast clickers, some are slow clickers, right? So it's that confidence level with technology. That's part of it. And then get them used to this pedagogy, this transformation. So we've got a plan in place to really dig in and dive in to the PDs, the professional developments, and throughout the year, model it for them and how it looks in the classroom. And that's our goal, that's our vision. And they share that, and they want that. Now, this part of it is, and we're dealing with this now, is all these platforms, right? These LMSs, these learning management systems. It sure would be nice to put them all together and have them talk to each other. But that's not happening the way we want it, but we're progressing, right? Schoology, first year for us, right? So we're learning that process as we go. And we're taking after school PDs and showing them how that works into personalization. But once we get that, and I don't think you'll ever get it, but once you get it, because there's so much innovation, we're always changing, but once you get comfortable with it, you're able to focus on the student. And that's really what it's about. And our last stakeholders. Uh-oh, there we go. Uh-oh, there we go. The last stakeholders are our parents, our community leaders, school to home, right? Our educational institutions. I visited Madison last week and got some great ideas from them. So it's all this and getting support from them. But the most important thing, I think, is how do we sustain? So if we can get the support to sustain this process and this vision so it keeps beating, right? That's really what it's all about. So we're getting support from the district, support from our peers, and support from school to home. So that's really important with that. So I'm going to tell you a little story. This transformation. Uh-oh. Oh, look at that. That's nice. It transformed. So Deborah and I got there at Columbus 2.5 years ago. We were fortunate because we came from a high school that piloted one-to-one 7, 8 years ago. I can't remember. So we had some experience under our belt, and we had a feel. And so let me preface. We were asked to do a timetable. I don't know if this is going to help you or not, but kind of go with me. So when we got there 2.5 years ago, there was the website had one page to it.
That's right.
The library
was ugly
wasn't a
too.
library, it was a storage warehouse. No media, or the books were just all over the place. And the iPad carts, there was a few of them for testing, came out 3 times a week.
A year.
Or a year, not a week. That's where we're going. So that was it. And we're going, well, what's up with this? And we were one-to-one. Students were taking them home. So that prefaced all this timeline that I want you to think of that as I go through it. So the first thing we did was, let's get this website going. Parents need access resources, blah, blah, blah. So we did that. We also used School Loop as our SIS, where parents can actually check grades and email teachers. And actually students can email teachers, parents, they can go back and forth. They didn't have that. So we started that process. We got the iPads out to the classrooms. Just said, hey, check them out when you want them. Now some folks are going to say, well, you're putting technology first. You didn't give them any professional development, how to use them. But you know what? Let's get them in the hands. And we'll develop that as we go. So we did that, and it took a few months to get the library back in shape and put media in it and get the lab rolling. So that was our first. We also got an ITI tech grant, made some more purchases, put Apple TVs in the classroom, showed them how to use it, starting to change things up. And then this is part of that blended learning process. Remember, this is almost 3 years ago. So we tried to circulate that technology. And they were figuring out, we were talking about it, and how to use that. Some more transformation the following year. So, MMED at the district level said, we see what you're doing. Here's 174 Chromebooks. Thank you. It was beautiful. So now our ELA teachers, whose digital platform StudySync, hey, it's a perfect fit. But now they got to learn about it a little bit more. But now the teachers are feeling this transition, right? And that was important. Now our PDs, we brought in some folks to help our teachers understand and learn and up their skills with technology in the classroom. We added some platforms to personalize a little bit. So the Alex in math, some of you may know that, Read Theory, and Renaissance Learning that helped us screen our kids and benchmark. So now this is last school year, and we're starting to go through this. And I think teachers are starting to say, hey, okay, we see the data, we see some progress. Deborah will get into that. So we're moving along. And now we're this year. And this is our first year really with School to Home. But they've been helpful so far. But I know Sonny's going to help us more. Right, Sonny? So that's that. But they invited us last year, and we were just kind of getting a feel for it. So now, digital training for parents, bringing these stakeholders in, and Deborah will talk more about it. But this program is really starting to pick up a little steam. I start feeling it. It's a good thing. I don't want to steal any thunder. Schoology, we dropped School Loop, nice SIS, but Schoology is that LMS that has a lot of potential. And it takes a lot to teach our folks. But I think they're starting to get excited about it. For the rest of the semester, we'll have 2 days a week after school, paid, for our teachers to come in and just start working it and learning it and understanding it and how it can work in personalizing our instruction. That's good stuff. Professional development, as I just talked about, student-centered learning, personalized learning, learning agency, 21st century skills. And we like that interdisciplinary, connecting the subjects, and project-based learning, involving the community, solving some problems. So that's where we want to go. Next year, the following year, and so on. So we've done some good stuff. We got a ways to go. And I say we, not Deborah and I mean we as a school. And as we all come together and understand and learn and see the successes of this, it's good stuff. And I'm sorry to take so much time, but I'm really proud where we are so far. So, Deborah? Deborah?
So I get to talk about the granular piece, and I'm not a very good person to sit and talk, so you need to know this is a challenge for me, being up here kind of stuck, but I'm here. So what you have here are, these are their children in the classroom, kids doing work, actually using the devices. So the first picture, actually I'm going to talk about the picture in the middle first. This is Mr. Roseo. These are 6th grade math students. Mr. Roseo has been at my school for quite some time. He's the guy who sits in the back and argues with you about everything that you think you want to bring to the school. That's Mr. Roseo. He's a very bright man. He's got a doctorate in behavioral psychology. but do not talk to him about changing his classroom because he can tell you all the reasons why not. So that's that gentleman, and that's who we met. But if you look at the picture in the middle, you can see that those children are on their Chromebooks and they are doing their Go Math program. The Go Math program, I don't know if you know it, but it has a technology piece to it besides the consumable workbook, textbook, which we discovered after we brought the publisher to us. And our teachers were there and they went, well, how come we don't have this? And the answer was, well, LA Unified didn't buy that piece. So we pushed on the Division of Instruction and went, hey, there's these tools that are part of this textbook. We really need them. And the district facilitated that for us. And I think that needs to be really clear. It was one little school with 710 kids pushing Great Big LA Unified to make sure that we could use this tool that was attached to our textbook that at the time of the adoption, nobody thought that we might want it. That happened. And that happened within 6 weeks, like that. Not what you think about as a big bureaucracy. It happened like that. So the teachers had been to trainings and they are learning how to use the digital piece of their math technology. The person on the left, that's Mr. Seifert. Mr. Seifert is that teacher that we all love. He's the guy who's like, yep, technology, I'll use what I've got before the kids have it. Here I am, I'm doing it. It was seamless the minute he walked into, well, he was there a year before I got there. The minute I walked into the school, I knew he was the technology guy, and he just owned it, did it, ran it. When we got our study sync, he was part of my textbook adoption team because guess what? I knew what he was going to pick. I stacked the deck. Don't tell them, Rich. So we picked Study Sync, which is a digital platform. Scary because at that time we didn't quite have enough devices for everyone, but we couldn't wait. You get one chance to adopt. And so this was the book that they picked. Mr. Seifert was on the panel. He was all in. He became sort of a demonstration site for my English teachers that first year. We're in the second year of our adoption of ELA books. So that first year, he was a person I could go, look, this is what it looks like. You can do this. And the English teachers would kind of walk through. So he was the easy one. The one on the right, I'm sorry, I'm dyslexic and I don't always know my right from my left. I know it seems crazy, but it's true. The one on the right, this is one of my SDP teachers. These are sixth graders. Somebody, I think a kid, came up to me and said, oh, Ms. Sharino, do you know we use Minecraft in my English class? And I went, wow. So I shot Wes an email and I was like, hey, I just learned you're coding in SDP 6th grade English. Is that true? And he was like, yeah, we are. And I'm going to read a little bit of his email to you because it's adorable. He said, yes, we are coding using Minecraft to immerse our students into the language of technology while improving literacy. We are also supporting our students' learning of literary words, device parts, plots, setting, and characters. Students are listening aloud to the stories using the Google Drawing app to sketch the setting and characters, and then they take these sketches and build words in Minecraft that are similar to the sketches that they see in a real-life setting. What? SDP students, remember we're talking about equity before. These are the children that people say, they can't do this stuff. And no, they are. And these are my babies, just my sixth graders. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I had to send Rich to go get pictures so we could brag on it. Let me see if I'm doing this right. Okay, so 21st century skills. Just what Rich said, we have, when we got there 3 years ago, there was a very old Mac lab, Jean, old like in the ones that we had at Madison, the white ones. I had a Mac lab, you know, those beautiful white Macs we all had. That was still at my school, dust all over the top. And then a PC lab that was being used occasionally, mostly during lunch and before school by someone who, she wasn't a teacher, she just kind of would be in there. So that's what we had. And so, as Rich said, we knew that that wasn't going to be okay. So we have spent the last 3 years doing everything that we can to utilize the equipment that we have. There's nothing wrong with that beautiful computer lab. It's great. But just going to a computer lab, you know, that's just the equivalent of having those dusty computers in the corner in the back of the room that we all had. So we have just been on a mission to get devices at this school so that our children can, at least in their English and in math class, but it's also in their English, math, and science classes, have the opportunity to use technology to improve their instructional outcomes on a daily basis. So again, we went from children who didn't touch the glass. I love that expression, Sophia. I heard it from her the first time about a year ago. I just stole it. So we had children who didn't touch the glass except for 3 times a year, the 2 interim assessments and their SBAC. 2 kids who are every single day engaging with technology to move their instruction. Teacher collaboration and the breakthrough team. So I am a very fortunate person. The school that I have been assigned to, my little school has not been achieving over the years. We've been historically underperforming. And my friends at the district office, Ms. Alma Peña Sanchez, Chief of Staff, and at that time Superintendent King, said, hey, we've got this program that is Breakthrough Teams, which is through a partnership with Harvard. The district's title for the schools are Focus and Innovation Schools. And they said, we've got this Deborah over there, who we know she's crazy, and she's at Columbus. What if we let Local District Northwest pick Columbus to be their breakthrough team? So what that does is it created, again, a partnership between my school and folks at Harvard about putting teachers in groups, and they create a very, very specific SMART goal, but even more than a SMART goal when you think of as an IEP, just really focused 10-week study of what to do to improve instruction. And what you see here are my math teachers, and they've got their heads around, they're working on we begun the second phase of it. We finished our first 10 weeks, we're in our second 10 weeks, and the BTT team is sharing with the rest of the department what they're going to do to move instruction. So this, along with the technology, has really, really helped change the culture and climate at this school regarding the teachers. When I got to my school, my teachers kind of lived in their little classrooms and didn't really talk to each other about instruction. My math folks had this beautiful brand new math book they were not using. They would do department meetings, and it wasn't instructional conversations that were happening in department meetings. We've all been at schools where people sit at department meetings and they do what? They do that thing where they gripe about the kids and why we can't teach those kids instead of what can we do to help our children. You understand the vernacular difference, right? So that's what we had. And now my math team is all leaning forward, working together to figure out how to improve math instruction for my children. So it's changing lives. I have to tell you that, I'm sorry, I may be going a little long, but so in the first 10 weeks with the, what did I do, Rich? The first 10 weeks with the, can you back me up? I'm frozen over here. I want to go back to the math folks. There, thank you. I love that, by the way. Thank you so much. The first 10 weeks, my math folks had growth within their children. We measured their monthly growth via the Renaissance benchmark assessments, and all of them, every single teacher in all of their classes and their study groups improved at least three months of instruction in 10 weeks. Hear that. 3 months of instructional growth within a 10-week window. Many of the children achieved a year's worth of growth in that 10-week window. Just remarkable. You talk about changing lives. These children closed those gaps in their math instruction like that. And you know, success breeds success, right? So now all of a sudden the children, instead of going, oh, I hate math, or the math department going, oh, we're not good at this, now all of a sudden everybody's leaning forward and feeling successful. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Parents. So this is our first official parent training for our School to Home program starts Saturday, and then the second one is Tuesday. We're doing 3 Saturdays in a row and three Tuesdays in a row. And what you're seeing here is this is our guinea pig group. We felt like our team, the school to home technology team who's leading the work with the parent training felt like it was important to practice and figure out how the training was received by the parents before they actually rolled out the training. And so this is our folks working with our, Rich was doing this PD, and we got feedback from the parents, and they completely readjusted and changed the entire professional development for the parents because it wasn't hitting the mark. And so what we're rolling out on Saturday is that model of what you want to see. We tried out the instruction. It didn't work the way we wanted it to. The team went back, they revised their plan, and we're delivering it again on Saturday. So the new improved rollout. So we'll see how that one goes. And we'll do the same thing. After they deliver the PD on Saturday, we'll get back together and see what we need to tweak before we do Tuesday. These are our robotics children. So we have a bit of programming in our school, not as much as we'd like to get to, but we had robotics that, I don't know, lived in boxes, and now we have actually a competing robotics team. And so what does this all mean? So I think it's important, you know, I can show you beautiful pictures of beautiful children doing cool things, but I think that you need to see the data, kind of the so what. So when we have had a literacy focus, with using technology, using novels in our advisory program, just really focusing on literacy. And so what happened with us, this was this last year's data. You can see that our English learner reclassification went up 26%, which, yeah, for us that was pretty phenomenal. The year before we were at 4% reclass. So that's just huge, huge growth. And then you can see this is our SBEC data, and everything went up. The one I'm really most proud of is the one at the bottom that just screams out to you, students with disabilities significantly increased, and I can't see it and I don't remember it, but I believe it's about by 21 points. 28.9, yeah. So again, that teacher who was teaching English to the 6th graders doing Minecraft, that's his work. So I just had to brag. Thank you. And that's, you know, why technology, why we do this, why we believe in it. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Deborah. We're going to quickly transition to Mr. Duran. Do you want to go next?
Okay, we're ready? Hello, everybody. So one of the things that often happens when you open up a new school, everybody thinks that things are there. But the reality is, because you're in a new school, they think you have everything. And so when you ask for something, they ask you, you already got a new school. What else do you want? So what I'd like to share with you is MACES. Notice it says Maywood Center for Rich Studies. It doesn't have the word high school or middle school, but yet we are both. We are modeled after 2 schools in LA, Los Angeles Center for Rich Studies and Sherman Oaks. They're the only 2 schools that are allowed to have that name, and what that means is basically you are creating a college atmosphere. At the same time, you are kind of like in baseball, the farm system. You're bringing up your 6th graders that stay with you for 6 years. And at the same time, they're always allowing extra room to come in when they're in 9th grade. So a lot of the older students do not want to go to school with middle school. They say, we've been there already. We don't want to see them. But it really creates a very unique culture. So the school is really modeled after Loyola Marymount University. Now, when you walk on the campus, it doesn't have the traditional lunch area. It has multiple lunch areas for them to eat. This is the library. It has a Zócalo. It has a wellness center. Again, it has a lot of things there. But when it comes down to technology and instruction, that was a little different story. So one of the things I can tell you is the first decision I made was that we were not going to have teacher desktops for them to take roll. They were going to get laptops so that when they went to PD, they would have the device that they needed. And that we would use Schoology for all of our work so that everything would be made public. One of the things that I discovered in teaching school finance at University of Dominguez Hills was that no student ever gave me a piece of paper as an assignment. So that's what I try to modern pattern in this school after, is that we were going to do the same thing. So we started with our block schedule of our the schedules that we do. Mondays, all of our students go periods 1 through 6 for 30-some minutes. They get the syllabus, they get the assignments for the week. But then Tuesday through Friday is a block schedule. with the exception of a period 7 that we use every day to do enrichment or to also do sort of intervention. That eliminates the need for me to keep the kids after school or have them coming on Saturdays. So that's what the pattern was with this school. That was the plan. And of course, the mission and the vision of this school, I guess I got to change it on mine here too, is pretty much patterned after the other two Center for Enriched Studies. It has to be physically, emotionally, and intellectually safe. It doesn't get too descriptive in it, but at the end of the day, the whole idea is that our 11th graders, when they're done going through the system, 11th grade is really about taking as many of the AP classes as possible, which means that by 11th grade, they should be completing all of their A3G requirements. This is not a highly gifted kind of school. It is open to any student in LA Unified, not just the students in the southeast area of our city. But going into technology, one of the things that happened is that we had to come up with our own vision of how we were going to use technology. So case in point, back in April, before the school opened up, during Easter break, a couple of teachers that I had recruited to come and work with me said, the district is offering this PD. Do you want to go with us? Because this is what we see. So we went, and that's basically what we started to do. Go to every single training, even though I didn't have a school, and try to learn as much as I can about how technology was really being integrated, what the school plan called for. And I do want to make note that Dr. Gibson recruited me out of my home in Highland Park. I had been at a school for 9 years, and I was going to retire from there because it was the most loving place ever. And she goes, Duran? Because she can't say Duran, even though she has a Duran Duran poster. Explain that. So she told me, she goes, you need to come and work with me and do operations. And in LA Unified, we have this thing called the water logs, that we have to flush the faucets every day and then submit a log to the district. And if you don't, you go on the naughty list. And I've said, oh, no, I do not want to do that. And she says, please come, and you can have anything you want after that. And I said, can I go back to a school if I don't like it? She said, yes. So when she left, I'm like, I'm out of here. I am not about to collect no water logs. So this is the school that was there, except I knew that coming from elementary, I was not going to have a chance until I was told that the vision for the school needed to be very different. It needed to be very different on how you approach things. And that's why I started going, and that's when I met Sophia's team and staff, and I said, hey, this is the way to go. It's just like Dominguez, except for little ones. And so that's where this came in. This came in from my staff. It didn't come from anybody other than us. Now, this is what we have been able to accomplish. When we first knocked on doors, everybody said, you're a new school, you don't get devices. Oh, well, what do I get? They say, you get 1 computer lab and 3 carts. I said, but I have 1,050 students. How is that going to manage? Well, you're a new school. Eventually, you'll grow into it. And that was not the plan. So we started asking people, and then one of the board members made the mistake of coming to a professional development at our school, and he asked my staff, what do you guys need? And somebody was courageous enough to say, we want to go one-to-one, and he said, write me an email. That day, before I went back to the office, the email was already sent. So it was driven by my staff. It was not driven by me. I just supported. So my rule is, if my staff goes to a PD, I go with them. And as much as that happens, is the only way that I can do the work side by side with them. But I always stand in the back. So this is what one of the things that my team said. We need to make sure that we are officially a school that is common sense certified, because we want to put it on our webpage. Okay, well, what does that mean? And by God, every day they would do something to get to that goal. So we've been able to do all of this. We've been able to train close to 500 parents through school to home. And that has been very, very helpful. And we have also reached out to, with Sprint's help, we were able to get all of our high school students a Chromebook as well as a hotspot. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The one thing I wanted to share with you is, this is kind of the parent training that we did. From day one, we told our parents, everything that we sent to you is going to be electronic. All of our newsletters, everything that you need is on our webpage. And some parents said, I don't have a computer, how am I going to get to it? And I said, but you do have a phone. This is PDF friendly. And so that's how we communicate with our parents, because we want them to understand that this is what we wanted for our parents. So from there, we took the idea of the district and how they train us, and we created our own tech cohorts. These are all my new teachers, and my staff has been doing the training. Exactly what they give us in the presentations with the district is what we have done with them. And the only thing that we said to them is, if you come to the training, you get the cart next day. This is before we had one-to-one. And the whole idea was there's only one catch. We want you to go and use that Chromebook tomorrow in the things that you were going to do today. And they say, what do you mean? Yes, tomorrow you're going to teach something. How would you teach it, you having access to a Chromebook and technology? That was the only thing. And then they came back and they shared their best practice. This is the students at work. What's interesting about it is I did send that picture to Dr. Gibson, and the group in the middle is these two young ladies that were at lunchtime, and I asked them to move out of the bench because we wanted to clean the area, and they said, no, because this is where the hot spot's at. And I had to tell them the whole school was a hot spot. And they're like, really? Yes. So next thing you know, we had my campus aides, the people that supervise, go, there's a fire hazard in the hallway. Why? Because the kids were looking for plugs to plug in. And I realized my technology plan did not include extra surge protectors and chargers. So now I had to go back and find a way to fund that. So you can't always think of everything, but the kids will remind you of that. So that's the beauty of this right here. Now, I don't have staff. I don't have instructional coaches. And I want you to know, as a Center for Rich Studies, you don't get deans either. So if there's a discipline problem, the principal has to handle it. There's counselors, but there are no deans. There is no instructional coaches. There are teachers who lead professional development. So all of the professional development at the school is led by the teachers. And they all bring it at one point or another, their best practice. We don't have somebody to help them with the devices when they break down. So a teacher train a group of students, we call them the little Maces, they have a little weird acronym, but they're basically like the Geek Squad, and they are the most powerful kids on campus because before school and after school, you can go to the college center and they're there to help you. This is created by them on things to do before you come to them. So before you go and see the Geek Squad, you have to do, and they all ask you, did you do this already? Okay, well then let's look at your device. So this is the way, because I don't have the $65,000 to hire somebody to be there constantly helping us out. Of course, the next thing is, how do I find a way to help our teachers? So we talked about Schoology. In here is examples of everything. Every single thing that is done in our school gets uploaded here, and everybody has access to it, including parents. So you can see on the bottom it says Mesa staff, everything, compliance. Every year I hated that compliance meeting. It's all there. They go in, they read it, they certify it. I have proof for the district. I don't have to do water logs because I'm a new school. But anyway, everything else that you see there is the different clubs that are on our campus. And then at the same time, every club has something there. So the math department has it. Each of the classes, they're going to graduate, they have it. And so the parent wants to know about what's going on with their kid's class, they go to here because we provided them with access to that as well. And this has been very, very, very helpful because then I don't have to go around looking for something. We just went through the WASC accreditation, and this was a big seller for them because whatever they want, I say, here's the link. And they're like, oh, okay, because they're used to getting the big binder. There was no binder. It was electronically. It was digital. Last but not least, you have to look at what the student work is. This is the student work. This is what they're doing. And you can see from everything, every tool that we've learned in all the PDs that we've been to, we're trying to incorporate it into our teaching. We have an example of our health teacher. She went through that little tech cohort that we did at our school. So now her kids have a blog on teen subjects that they talked about issues that are related to them. You know, again, this is being driven by the teachers, by the students, and believe it or not, if you let them go, they will go in ways that are very, very creative. More than anything, you know, we have a robotics team that just won, and somebody, when they won, you know, there's always people that come out and they're haters, and I'm talking about like colleagues who pick on you on purpose and go, well, that's because you have a new school, you know, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do the water log. Oh, goodness. They said, who gave you the answers for the robotics team? Because my robotics team won. But what it is, we have this one incredible kid who told me that they figured out a way to open up their underground garage. I said, how did you know? She goes, Google it. So if you have an underground garage, if you take a trash can and you put it over the sensor, it opens it up. And I'm like, oh my God. And that's the kid that's leading the robotics club, which explains a lot of things that are happening on my campus. Again, kids communicate in different ways. Twitter is what we use for parents. Instagram is what we use for our students. And we highlight every team that wins, every celebration we have. You can go and follow it. And of course, we have Mace's Magnet, the website, for our parents as well, and the district. I had a call from somebody in the information office, and they said, we noticed on the webpage that blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wait, who told you guys? And they go, we monitor you. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. So now we're very conscious of what goes up there, and first of all, that it is something that's already been pre-approved. Every one of our students has a media release, except for 6 students whose parents have said, I don't want anything with my child's face anywhere, and which we honor. And again, this is the way we communicate with our school community. Last but not least, I want to tell you that this is the view that I see at night. And the reason why I want to end with this is the following. Every day when I go home, the lights come on like around 5:30. I always see this and I go, man, my goal with my staff is to make sure these lights never go out. And for that to happen, I need to have a community that's open 24 hours a day. How am I going to do it? For us, it's through technology, accessing equity, equality, and all those things. I live in the city of Long Beach. I live a couple blocks from Long Beach State. One of the things that I notice is that there's a library down there and there's a library in Maywood. And how our communities use it is very, very different. And so is technology. There's a document from the U.S. Department of Education that talks about how affluent areas use devices versus non-affluent areas. And my goal is to make sure that I light every single kid's Chromebook so they realize that, hey, it really is a whole hotspot in the whole school. I welcome you to visit us, follow us, email me, and we will be more than happy to share with you how we've been able to accomplish something in 120 days. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Moving right along, Mr. Javier Peña.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Let's pump it up a little bit. When I say SF, you say I am. SF? I am. No, come on, let's try that again. When I say SF, you say I am. Well, I haven't said it yet. Here we go. SF. 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 Great, I'm waiting for my slide, but hopefully we'll get there in a second. But as it comes up, that was done intentionally. We're San Fernando Institute for Applied Media, and we're the first pilot middle school in the northeast of LAUSD. We've been in operation now for 8 years. And when you shrink down our name, it was actually intentionally done that way. The vision was that if anyone walked on our campus and spoke to a child and said, what's your vision, what's your sentence, right? If you could reduce that vision down, a child would say, I am valued at this school. I am a 21st century learner. As simple as that. I am going to achieve my goals. And so whenever we get to this, right, this is a lot of stuff that's happening at our campus, and I kind of wonder about your campus, because sometimes you can scratch your head where you have the school to home 10 components, and we're trying to open up a Link Learning business class. So when we partnered with Virtual Enterprise International, they've got their components for sending kids off to the trade show. We have Makerspace that's tied with grants and a lot of requirements. And then we've recently signed up to be a Practitioner 2.0 school through our district. So when you're trying to wrap your head around all of this, you've got to go back to that sentence. And for us, our foundational documents say we are a project-based school. We want to teach through the inductive method, whether you call it challenge-based learning, project-based learning, inquiry, cycles. It's a very similar approach. And this is where we have to go back to, our fundamental founding documents, our core vision. And you've heard that over and over throughout all the presentations. Dr. Gibson is right. This is where it all begins. And going through the process with our district, so we're new, Practitioner 2.0. Our principal and a cohort went this summer for training. I came back from my paternity leave, and the baton was passed to me to move forward now with that training and write the Empowered Learner document, the vision, the plan, and we worked on that with our tech committee, and we had to go back to this. So having conversations with our teachers about this vision through our informal debriefs when we're observing and talking with them about what's happening in the classroom is peeling back the layers and going back to this. So we've had a lot of turnover, and our school is recommitted to getting training again through the Buck Institute and through teacher-led presentations. But when you see the layers of what it takes to be a PBL school, project-based learning, you see all of the things that are foundational to this, the ISTE standards that we've been hearing a lot about today. And so working with this Empowered Learner program through LAUSD has forced us to go back to that vision and look at how we're doing, how we are just using what we're already doing, our project-based learning model, to incorporate the technology. And so this is something we've been working on in terms of like a graphic to break it down for teachers, right? That computational thinking. And when we're talking about what entails in a project, right, we're very clear. And we're trying to be clear with our faculty. So we have a common language about those foundational steps, right? A project is not a product that you make. It's not that poster board. It's not that PowerPoint. It is honoring a learning process from the planning phase to the production phase to the presentation phase. And every one of those steps, we're being clear about where information literacy skills happen, where media literacy skills happen. And so we're building this, and now this mind map is growing. We're currently, with the resources we have, we've been giving we have Matthew Yamas, who's here, is our instructional coach, and through the Practitioner 2.0 program, through LAUSD, we've been given another coach who's just started recently with us. And we're being intentional about having our coaches talk to teachers about what phase they are in their project. And then we talk about the technology and how they can support. Also to help our teachers, right, through a workflow, is we've partnered this semester with an organization called Project Pals. They're new. I think they're going to go live next year. They're to help schools who want to be project-based with some technologies to create a smooth workflow for them. And so we presented this as an option this semester for our teachers to be like, okay, here you have a one-stop shop platform where kids can collaborate. You have your brainstorming maps are all embedded in here. It's embedded with Google Docs, and you can monitor what kids are doing in their team. So just another resource for our teacher to help guide them through that project-based learning. We have a makerspace at our school, and so again, we're being intentional this year in terms of incorporating the engineering design cycle. So our teacher that's leading that class is pretty much using another form of PBL in the projects that they're making in that class. So again, like I mentioned, so we have through School to Home, Matthew Yamas, and as well as Mr. Nemitz through the Practitioner 2.0. And again, our coaches are having those quiet conversations, whispering in our teachers' ears, kind of nudging them along gently about thinking about, okay, how are you using Schoology? As we've seen, if you're just digitizing a document and putting it up there, what's the leverage? Right? Not so much, versus now using those digital portfolios and creating more intentional units and all of the other things that you can link up there. So this is work that's happening right now at our school and having those conversations. One thing that I love about the Empower Learner program that we signed up for through our district is the emphasis on that digital citizenship piece. And so at our school, we are going through the process of becoming Common Sense certified. I know we have to do that before May. We've already sent out our RUPs again. Our teachers are doing the lessons with the kids and having really good conversations with them. And so oftentimes they go out the beginning of the year, they get signed, but where's the lesson behind it and helping kids break that down? So currently our school's working on that. And we have a program called Ripple Effects at our school. So when kids do something naughty, which we had one last week that created a meme account online and just, something minor, but still, right? So teaching them about being a reflective person and about their responsibilities in the cyber world. So we use Ripple Effects to have those conversations with them. And I know next year we want to be more intentional about participating in Digital Citizenship Week. And so things that are happening, well, LAUSD is pushing the passport for parents, and so our partners with School to Home and YPI, the Youth Policy Institute, have been supporting us by getting parents signed up. So this is our current data. We have a lot of work to do, but little by little, we're going to be increasing this, and hopefully soon we'll see 100% for parents to sign up and then connect to the Schoology account. Our parent workshops, we've had a lot of support from Youth Policy Institute, and now with the Practitioner 2.0 Empowered Learner program from the district, a lot of our workshops now that are happening in the spring are geared towards the digital citizenship, the cyberbullying. I think our first one is happening March 7th that talks about screen time and parents monitoring their kids and that kind of stuff. One thing we've done at our school for our parent workshops is we've focused in for the devices we have, because we've applied for the district program to get newer devices because our current devices are old. They're over 5 years old and they need to be replenished. And so we have a one-to-one program focused with our EL students. And so a lot of our workshops are geared towards using Achieve 3000, building literacy with parents and students with the iPads that go home with the Achieve 3000 program. And so this is, I've been leading a lot of that work, and so this is my fundamental vision, is that unique, right? That unique experience that a child and a parent have when they're reading at home together. And so that Achieve 3000 platform allows parents to access the content in Spanish or whatever language. The child can read it in English, and they can actually have discussions over that. So a lot of our parent workshops that we have through School to Home are building this literacy, going through some of the rituals and routines. We're able to monitor parent usage. So after the first 10 weeks of our new cohort that went through our program, we're seeing, some usage, some parents more than others, but that's why we have follow-ups once a month. We follow up with the parents about how it's going with Achieve, what articles are you reading, being more intentional about making a calendar with parents. Okay, so let's sign up. We do it 5 weeks at a time, and so they'll sit with their child, try to pick articles that they have in common of an interest, plot them down, and then we'll check up with them every about 5 weeks to see how that practice of reading at home through that platform is going. We're seeing good results. On a personal inquiry project that I have, I've been following a cohort of 65 kids over the last year and a half, just seeing what's happening to them. They're participants in School to Home. And so we're seeing average Lexile gains, according to what Achieve 3000 says should happen, but we're seeing above average gains in terms of our reclassification. And so when I came on board as assistant principal, it was where that dip happened. And with implementing School to Home, tying it with Achieve 3000, with our parent workshops, we're beginning to see that rise in reclassification. So we're really proud of that. And one other thing too that's we do through School to Home and the resources they provide is with Ms. Gerges, who's here. She's our leader for our Mouse Squad. We call it Jag Squad because we're the home of the Jaguars. Is kids are continuing with the Mouse Squad curriculum. Right now they're working on Credly, where they're like Boy Scout merit badges. They're getting digital merit badges where Ms. Gerges is going to take them after they complete several to build a resume and start advocating for themselves. These are skills I have. This is how I can serve you, right? In terms of they were applying to an employer and advocating for themselves. So we're really proud of the work that Jag Squad is doing, Ms. Gerges is doing with them. So I was just told to give a little summary of kind of our journey, what's going on at SFIM with our School to Home kind of components that we're doing, as well as the work and merging it with the new ITI Empowered Learner program. So thank you for your attention.
Excellent. And thank you to all the panelists. Thank you. There's great things happening all across the board. And I think we have time for just a couple of questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand and I'll bring you the mic. Sure. Talk.
Can you say something about your makerspace? Like, what is there? 3D printers? Do you have like CNC machines? What's going on?
So it has 3 stations: a media production station, a robotics station, and like a fabrication engineering type station. We do have the 3D printer. It's fairly new, so we haven't had it for a long time, but we're moving towards using that with coding though. So our school is also moving. Another initiative is to become STEM certified, and there's a lot of interest among teachers for to get that coding, to get that, because once you got that down, that's where I think you make a difference with the 3D printing. So that's, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, great. Thank you very much. Oh, Matthew.
It's actually for Mrs. Duran. So you're saying that your school's only been open for 100 and so days, right?
121.
120. And so how was that? How did you approach teachers to let them lead and be able to do so much? So I just wanted to hear more about like how you
So, our school relieved the last LA Unified school that was on year-round calendar, Bell High School, which at one time had like close to 5,000 students. And so the only way we could sell the students to come to our school was you could apply for it, and you don't have to go across town to the Laces or the Bravo or things like that, the more popular schools. And the same thing was for the teachers. So there were 23 people that applied to be principal. There were 200 teachers that applied to be on the staff, And so basically, the way I did it was, if somebody was interested in coming to the school, we had the expectation, and the expectation was that there were no instructional coaches and that they were going to have to facilitate some sort of PD. And so that cut some people off. They said, oh, no, that's not me. But then the other thing was, the way they applied is they had to fill out a Google form. And some people would tell me, well, can I just like drop off an application instead? Or I would send them some information and they would tell me back and say, you didn't send me anything. And the reality was they didn't know how to open up a PDF document. So I started to see how, if we were going to offer something that was similar to LAUSD, which we're not, they've been around for 30 years, we had to be very strategic in this. And so I have Ms. Camarena, Ms. Amador, and Ms. Martinez, who came from other schools who were very much like, we've been at schools where it failed. Everybody was excited about technology, and then all of a sudden at the end, only 2 people are doing the work. So for our school-to-home program, we had a total of 17 teachers that facilitated the training, and I got a complaint about 17 checks being issued, right? I just want to be clear about that. Oh. She was questioning, like, basically like, really? You had 17 people? Mm-hmm. Sure. But it was, and the reality is that by doing that, then when something doesn't work out, you can't say, well, she did the training, because you had that same opportunity. So it's a culture, and the culture is very different because people want to be there, but at the same time, I want you to know, just because you have the people there, after a while, they all rely on certain people doing the work. And the reality is nothing gets done in privacy. That's why every department, every club, everything goes up so everybody gets to see it. So the pressure comes from within, not from me. Remember, there's 1,050 students and there's only one administrator. I need 1,300 to get an AP. I should tell Dr. Gibson about that, huh?
She can watch the video.
But to go answer that is, the whole idea is that everybody leads and everybody's offered the opportunity, just like everybody's offered the opportunity to go to PDs and trainings. So rather than me doing a PD for everybody, I say who's interested in going somewhere, and then the only condition is when you come back, you need to share it with us.
Well, I am oh, I'm sorry, one more. The young lady in the red.
One more question. It's to Sophia. So you've got an extraordinary education leader. And we just heard 3 wonderful presentations. I know you're also doing more to showcase what they're doing. Maybe if you would just elaborate on how does their expertise get shared with others within the district?
Earlier, Dr. Gibson shared with you Be Like Broccoli. And after that was the slide around the ITI exemplars. So we continue to learn from our administrators. And what we kept hearing throughout that whole task force process is, what does it look like in LA Unified? What does it look like in a preschool classroom? What does it look like in a middle school and in a high school? So with that platform, we've been able to codify, to capture, and place it into that platform so that others can continue to learn. That's been, one of my biggest challenges is this, we work in a very large system, and to share this information across this large system with over 600,000 students. So we just launched it in February. It's open. We hope you visit. That's only one of the ways in which we hope to be a very powerful way, and continuing to do things like this. Panels to share with others. At the end of the school year, we're hoping to invite all of our practitioner school principals and empowered learner schools, again, to learn from one another, because the biggest challenge is that we can't do this work alone, and it's just so gratifying to be here with all of you, to know that I can reach out to, like LeConte, we were having a great conversation around digital citizenship this afternoon just in the hallway, and to know that these networking opportunities, and those are really those organic opportunities where we get to share with one another, and I can start making those connections, like, oh, LeConte, I want to connect you over here with SFIAM if you haven't done so already. So those, in addition to putting it up on the internet so that others can share. And just thank you for these type of opportunities. And the more we get to do that, be open with one another. I remember when I was a first-year teacher, And I went to go knock on the teacher next door, and they didn't open the door for me. So living in those type of silos, and then knocked on the next one, and she opened the door for me. So it's been a wonderful experience to be able to come out and learn from one another. Every time I open the doors are wide open. So being able to share these stories with one another has been those opportunities to highlight the amazing work that's happening in LA Unified. So thank you for this opportunity to share, and hopefully we can keep coming back. Thank you.